Stop everything you're redoing and pay attention to what I am about to tell you now. Have you ever noticed how sometimes when you just step back a little, she starts moving closer as if something invisible is pulling her toward you? It's fascinating how instead of persisting or chasing, the simple act of creating distance can awaken an interest that seemed dormant. There's a reason for this, and it's connected to something much deeper than games or seduction tactics. What lies beneath is how the brain interprets withdrawal, freedom, and mystery. Let us now enter a field that few truly explore: the emotional logic behind attraction. Here, silence can speak louder than any words. Distance, incredibly enough, can be a more effective trigger than constant presence. The man who has the courage to step away ends up activating areas of female interest that remain dormant when everything is easy, guaranteed, or predictable. In this content you will understand the 12 real reasons that lead a woman to become interested in a man precisely when he chooses to let her go. We're not talking about ready-made phrases or cheap tricks, but rather behaviors and attitudes that truly affect desire, respect, and emotional interest. When you understand this, you'll realize that often it is not how much you chase that attracts, but how well you know how to position yourself. So prepare yourself, because what follows next can change how you view the dynamic between interest and withdrawal. And go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. By doing this, you help the message reach more men who need to escape this zone of emotional confusion. And leave in the comments what city you're watching from. I want to know how far this content is reaching. Let's get straight to the point. The first reason is that withdrawal becomes a blank canvas where she paints the best version of you. When you disappear, leave the radar, stop responding as before, or simply live your life without insisting. You create a space. In this space, empty, it gets filled by her imagination. The human mind hates gaps, and what it doesn't see, it begins to complete with memories, feelings, and idealizations. At this moment, longing comes into action, and longing has a very particular characteristic. It's not objective, it chooses what to remember. So qualities gain prominence, flaws are erased or softened, and what was real becomes something more beautiful, more interesting, more intense. She begins to remember good moments, conversations, sensations, and all of this starts to seem better than it actually was. This activates in her a desire to relive what in her mind remained incomplete or could have been better. Distance transforms you into someone more interesting than you perhaps were when you were there all the time. And the most curious thing is that this new image she creates can provoke in her a renewed desire, a wish to have back what she herself idealized. And if you are tired of being ignored or treated as if you were disposable, that's where the turnaround lies. In the first comment of this video, there's a complete guide that shows exactly how to turn this game around, how to make her chase and start seeing your real value. Check it out later. Let's move to the second reason. When you let go, show that you have alternatives, and this says a lot about your value. A man who doesn't insist, who doesn't beg for attention, who doesn't try to force something with someone who doesn't value him, is silently saying, I have choices. And this message, even if implicit, has a direct impact on how she begins to see you. You make it clear that you are not available for any crumbs, that you are not sitting around waiting for an opportunity. This puts you in a different position from most. A man who knows how to value himself generates curiosity and respect, and this is a type of attraction that cannot be forced. It happens naturally when the woman realizes you are not there out of neediness, but by choice. She begins to wonder who else has their eye on you. She starts to feel that maybe you're being competed for, even if this isn't actually happening. And this thought alone can awaken a type of desire in her that was dormant, wanting to secure someone who's no longer so accessible. The lack of neediness transmits power, and this power changes the balance of the game. Now let's move to the third reason. She might be used to controlling everything, and your withdrawal breaks this pattern. In many cases, especially at the beginning of a connection between two people, the woman ends up controlling the pace without realizing it. This happens because the man, afraid of losing or seeming indifferent, gives too much of himself. He responds to everything quickly, gives into everything, is always available, and with this loses unpredictability. But when you change the pattern and decide to step away, stop insisting, or simply live your life, she feels she's lost control of the situation, and this generates internal discomfort. She finds herself facing something she didn't expect. Your absence becomes an enigma. The question, why did he disappear, starts occupying space in her head. This can be the beginning of a change in attitude. She begins to reevaluate her own actions, starts to see you as someone who doesn't play by the rules she was accustomed to. And this is exactly what can turn the game around. When you position yourself differently than she expected, she is forced to leave autopilot and pay attention. At this moment, you're no longer predictable, you're interesting. Asterisk, in many relationships, it's as common for the woman to assume, consciously or not, the role of the one who leads. She dictates the pace, decides when and how things advance. This control gives her emotional security and a sense of dominion over the situation. But when the man chooses to exit the scene, this balance changes. Control changes hands, and this can provoke immediate bewilderment in her. She realizes something went off script. The automatic reaction of always having control, of knowing what will happen, no longer works. And this change causes impact. The sensation of being faced with someone who doesn't respond like others affects the mind. This can lead her to question her own behavior and think about why this time it wasn't she who determined the course of the story. This type of disruption awakens curiosity, discomfort, and at the same time, a renewed desire to understand and perhaps even regain control of the situation. And it's precisely this break-in pattern that can rekindle interest. What was predictable has now become a mystery, and the man who seemed like just another one stands out by acting differently. And this leads us to the fourth point. Rejection, even subtle, hurts pride. When a man steps away, even without doing it offensively or directly, there's an emotional reading of the gesture. Often the woman understands this withdrawal as a type of refusal. This happens even when she was the one who distanced herself before or when she didn't show much interest initially. The fact that he doesn't react by trying to win her back can be read as he doesn't want me. And this thought can hit her pride head-on, wound the ego, because in many cases what's at stake isn't the feeling for him, but the need to feel desired, validated, important. When this validation disappears, the mind goes into action trying to restore balance, and the emotional path she follows, almost without realizing, is to seek back the attention of that man who didn't bind himself to her. It's as if suddenly she wanted to prove to herself, including, that she is still capable of making that man return, that she still has seductive power, that he made a mistake by stepping away. This impulse can be strong enough to make her reconsider her attitudes, rethink feelings, and approach again, all in search of a kind of emotional repair. Asterisk, let's move to the fifth reason. There exists indeed in many women an unconscious desire to be the only one who succeeded, the fantasy of being the exception, the one who conquered precisely the man that no one can tie down, an authentic man who seems to be fine alone, who doesn't bow to others' wishes easily, usually awakens this desire for conquest even more intensely. This type of man transmits challenge, and challenge for many people is what keeps interest burning. When a man demonstrates that he has autonomy, that he doesn't depend on female validation to feel complete, he automatically rises in level on the attraction radar. He is not just a potential partner, he is a rare prize. The woman then begins to nurture the desire to be the one who achieves something others couldn't. This affects the ego, self-esteem, and transforms the conquest into an objective full of emotional meaning. More than liking him, she wants to overcome the barrier he represents. She wants to be remembered as the one who made the improbable happen. Asterisk, this leads us to the sixth point. When the man releases the rope, he reveals self-control, and this self-control is almost always read as a sign of maturity. Different from the impulse of someone who needs to resolve everything now, he shows he knows how to wait, that he understands his own value and won't despair over something that's not in his hands. This serenity doesn't go unnoticed. She looks at him and sees someone who knows how to behave under pressure, who doesn't act on impulse, who doesn't beg for attention, who doesn't change personality to please, and this transmits an image of stability. It's as if there existed an emotional anchor there, someone who, even when everything rocks, remains firm, centered, and self-possessed. This type of posture in her mind associates with someone who is reliable, someone who is ready to deal with challenges, to lead with balance and presence. The type of person who inspires confidence and naturally becomes more desirable. Emotional control is silent but profoundly attractive. Asterisk, and now we enter the seventh reason. When the man doesn't react as she expects, she begins to reevaluate her own value. What before was a certainty that he would always be around, attentive and available, disappears, and this creates a gap. She begins to ask herself why he is no longer there. Wasn't she enough? Did she lose his interest? Did she do something wrong? These questions activate self-criticism, and from there the game changes. Instead of focusing on his flaws, she starts analyzing what she herself might have done or failed to do. This new perspective can make her review attitudes, realize where she didn't value what she had, and see the distant man with different eyes. She starts looking at him with different eyes. The absence of attachment, the freedom he demonstrates, can be read as a clear sign that he has options, that his life doesn't revolve around a single relationship, and this, contrary to what many think, doesn't make him less desirable. On the contrary, this emotional independence is usually extremely attractive. When a man shows he can move forward, that he is willing to give up a connection if it is not mutual and respectful, he transmits silent strength. This posture creates a curious effect on the woman. She begins to wonder why he's not trying to hold on to her. Has he already found someone better? Did she lose her chance with someone truly special? These questions alone are sufficient to affect the ego and activate the competitive instinct. Even if she's not sure about what she feels, the idea that he might be giving attention to another person, that he is available to the world and not exclusively to her, lights an internal alert. The woman, in this context, may feel she needs to stand out, reconquer the space that was once hers, be noticed again, and that is where the desire to approach is born. Not out of necessity, but out of challenge. The idea of being the woman who catches the attention of someone who doesn't surrender easily, who doesn't bind himself to just anyone, becomes an emotionally stimulating mission. The withdrawal, far from being the end, ends up becoming the trigger for a reapproach full of desire and initiative coming from her. Let us move to the 11th reason. When the man lets go, he breaks the cycle of emotional dependence. In many relationships, even the most recent ones, a pattern can emerge where one of the two gets used to having the other always available, always ready to give in, to return, to insist. This pattern, over time, loses the force of attraction, because what is too predictable stops being valued. By not binding himself, by not insisting, the man breaks this cycle. He interrupts the known game and introduces a new script, where he shows he is fine with himself and doesn't need the relationship to feel whole, and this changes everything. This break in expectation can lead the woman to realize that that man who seems so devoted, so available, now walks on his own. This image of someone who found stability outside the relationship, who chooses to continue without resentments, generates curiosity and, at the same time, respect. Not just anyone can do this authentically, and this respect can be the first step toward a new type of attraction, a feeling that is no longer born from necessity, but from admiration. The woman may begin to see this man as someone who has a rich life, who knows what he wants, and who doesn't let himself be shaken by the absence of reciprocity, and this image is much more attractive than that of someone who begs for attention. And we arrive at the 12th reason. Absence opens space for imagination. When the man lets go, he stops feeding the common routine, the predictable conversations, the repetitive behaviors, and in this silence, in this void left by absence, the woman's mind begins to fill the spaces. And what fills this space, isn't reality, it is what she imagines. She begins to think about what he is doing, who he is going out with, what he is feeling. She imagines conversations, encounters, possibilities. This freedom to create mental scenarios is very powerful, because often the mind creates something even more interesting than what actually existed. And this is how idealization emerges. In this space of absence, where the man isn't present, to contradict with words or actions, she can remember the best moments, the most striking qualities, the most intense sensations. The mind doesn't like gaps, it fills them, and this filling can be much more favorable than any attempt at direct convincing. When he lets go, he doesn't disappear, he makes a mark, and this mark remains present in thoughts, assumptions, and sensations that return unexpectedly. And when she least expects it, what seemed resolved returns with force, reigniting desire, interest, and even deeper feeling. Now that you understand why letting go can be the most powerful attitude a man can take, remember, whoever values themselves never begs, they only inspire. A man who knows his own value doesn't chase, he attracts, and this type of posture not only changes how women see you, but completely transforms how you experience relationships. If you want to continue evolving, become emotionally unshakable, and learn practical strategies to be a man who conquers with attitude. The time has come to act. Click the link that's in the first pinned comment. There I left exclusive material with clear steps for you to turn the game around and make her chase. It's straight to the point. It's real, and it's made for men like you, who are tired of being ignored and ready to take control. Leave here in the comments the phrase, "I choose my value." This shows you recommitted to your evolution, and still helps this video reach more men who need to hear this. Subscribe to the Hidden Wisdom channel, activate the bell, and leave a like, because in the next videos I am going to show you how to elevate even further.